Welcome to Let's Make a Game Platformer, episode 11. In last episode, I've added a system that allows to detect overlaps of multiple entities, and using this system, I've checked for player hitting the exit of the level. I've also modified how the prefabs for blocks are defined. They contain the bounds separately from cube, so we no longer assume in our platform collider that every block is exactly cube, but it can be now or square in the XY coordinate system. It can now be anything. Today, however, I've used here an object, the component that should not be used for this. I have to create a separate component for this part, where the platform will be using a separate component for specifying, okay, this is the location that the platform actually takes. So let's do it now. So let's start off with our platform. Physics platform collider. Let's do here a collision obstacle component, and it will have translate X, translate Y, width and height, and also we'll have here an collide sides, an array of collide sides. The reason why I want to introduce this is because I want the grass prefab to allow you to jump onto the platform from underneath it. So it will only collide when you will be going down on it. This is something that you'll see in a lot of platformers, where you don't hit when you jump from underneath onto something. You don't hit the ceiling of the platform. You can jump onto the platform. Maybe I'll show it later once I change this. So, okay, so let's make these use this component. For now, we'll be defining all of them. And in our platform collider, instead of checking for this component, we'll be doing checking for existence of that component. It has to extend component. Okay, so this should work without a problem. Let's see the result. The name of the component has to be correct. It has to be a get collide sides. Okay. Okay, so everything still is working the way it's supposed to. Okay, so now let's modify that the level. The bottom one is gonna be bottom on the right will gonna be made of stone. The top one is gonna make of grass. We'll have an exit portal at the end, rather than in the middle here. And the left one will be made of stone as well. Okay, and in the grass we'll say that the name of the collide sides is going to be array, and it's called up down, so only it will collide when you're going down. Let's maybe call it capital down to be able to compare them like that. Okay, so all of them will be colliding on all sides, so because it's going to be the default. However, if it's defined, it will collide only in that direction. So first of all, rather than rectangle 2D here, we'll create a class block collider block obstacle. It will have a rectangle and it will have a sides. So on the rectangle we'll have a block obstacle here. And second parameter will be whatever we have in the colliding object, get collide sides. Okay, and here we'll be iterating through them. So if platform block sides is null or contains direction platform block sides and event get direction, then it will check the intersection because it's slower than platform block rectangle and awesome, and add the so sides, we iterate through it. If side equals direction name, return true, otherwise return false. Okay, so let's run it now. Now the grass blocks should not block us jumping from underneath. Oh, something has failed. JSON array cannot be cast to array of strings. Okay, so what's JSON array? It's a list. Okay, so in here, in the prefab, instead of string, we'll have a list of strings. Okay, and in here we have to correct this. So we have a list of strings. Copy it here. Run. Okay, so we have a stone platform, and this should allow us jumping. Yeah, so at the moment we have the problem of this disappearing underneath. I will fix it in a moment, but okay, everything is fine. Let's create now let's move this platform a bit down so we can actually jump onto it. So we have to move it 2 down. So it's gonna be 0, 0, 0. Okay, now the problem is that we're really spawning. So let's maybe fix also where the player is spawned. So in the level component, we'll create a player spawn component, extends component, and we'll get here get x, get y, get z, and in the level will define where the player is getting spawned for the level. Player spawn component x 0, y -1, z 0. These are the default, but we specify them anyway because we want to be very explicit about it. Just do the same for the other level. And let's create a component here. Player spawn system. It's not an interface, it's going to be class register system. So when the level is loaded, spawn will get inject the entity manager because we have to find the player character. Entity manager, get entities with player component class and location component. And we'll get the component location, and we'll have to set x to player spawn, get x, y and z. X, Y, and Z, and we have to save it. Player entities, save changes. Okay, so now that now levels can actually define where the player is being spawned. So rather than always being spawned on 0, 0, 0, now it's gonna spawn whatever the level defines. Let's see it in action. Okay, so now we're underneath it, and we can jump on top of it. There's no way of going down yet. Maybe we'll introduce it later. Okay. So now our class defines the overlap. So our blocks define have a separate component for actually being an obstacle in the world, and the platform collider correctly creates the shapes of this, and also it specifies which sides are being actually colliding. Okay, so now next thing we'll do is we have to specify the bounds for the level. I was actually going back and forth between doing an obstacle or not for this, so basically doing this with a head hitbox. In this case I would have to create basically a huge rectangle at the bottom of the screen, but instead I'll just decided to go with specifying here a new component, level bounds, level player depth bound component. It's going to be a component and we'll be having here minimum y, minimum x, maximum x. We'll not specify maximum y because since there's the gravity, you'll always be pulled down no matter how high you're gonna go. So let's have these, and add a system for checking this. Player death check, player 11 bounce, player death bounce check system. Let's call it the same way as the component actually is called. We have to register the system, and we want to do it in a game loop, so we have to register this into the game loop. I might actually do the same thing with entity. I don't know, this is complicated because there's no game loop entity. I would have to create one. So similarly, as like I had before with the rendering, where rendering was done using registering itself and then I switched to event based, I might do the same here. I just have to figure out how I'd like to do this. For now, let's just go with this approach of implementing a method update and also life cycle system. So in the initialize, we'll do game loop register, add this, and we'll be getting a. So we have to create two indexes. So we'll be first of all using an index entity index manager, and the index first one will be for finding the level. So anything that has player death bounds, death bounds index entities, and entity index manager, player component, location component, player entities. So we'll be iterating through player entities. These should be fields rather than local variables. Player entities get entities, and player entity and death bounds entities. Player entity get component location. So let's do location get x, player x, location get y, player y, if, and in here we also get death bounds get component, player death bounds component. If death bound max x is less than player x, or death bound min x is greater than player x, or death bound get min y is greater than player y. So for now we'll just display this text. So in here we have to define the let's just not make a bug, just copy paste the name of the component. So we have there min x, min y, max x. Min x, let's go with -2. Max x, let's go with 12. So basically 2 more than our camera bounds. And y, so min y. At the moment our stuff is at -2, so let's go for -3. And let's copy this to the other level. Okay, let's run and see if that works. So we are jumping. We are exiting. We are allowing our minimum X is not good enough for our blocks even. So let's go with -7 minimum X. And the further to us is 2. Okay. So it was being dead even before we are reaching the leftmost blocks in our level. So let's play, and I'm dead. Okay, and so that's going to the left. And now let's go to the down. So we just fall off the ledge here. So let's do it this way. No, that's not work. And player reset. Okay. So I think this is for the episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. And in next episode I'll actually add a main menu. So at the moment we have 2 conditions at which we exit the level. So one is player reaches the exit portal, and second, player is actually dead. So we'll be doing some UIs now next episode and adding menu to be able to, when player dies, go back to the menu and player can choose level to play. Okay, thanks for watching and bye!